Hey guys, welcome to the video. Salt here. Today we're going to be taking a look at the melee gunblade, the Sarpa. Now in this weapon series, I take a weapon, I build it out, and I test that weapon on its own merits. Meaning I don't mix it with any kind of external factors that would increase weapon performance. That would be things like Warframes using abilities, pets putting statuses on enemies. I just build the weapon by itself and I let the viewer make their own intelligent conclusion about adding those external things. Things like, hey, Salt put viral on the weapon, but I'm going to be using Nourish, so maybe I'll use a different element. Things like that. Now, the only difference when I do a melee weapon is that I do use one external, and that is a pet putting statuses on enemies for me. And it's because almost every single melee weapon in the game will use a mod called Condition Overload, and Condition Overload will require you to prime. Priming just means putting a lot of statuses on enemies. And so to reduce or to remove any human factor of priming, I just use a pet to prime for me. For gunblades, I use the Hound primer because the Hound is a little bit further range than the Dirija primer would be. So we have the suggestion for today with the Sarpa is coming to us from commenter Andre Correa. We have the top commenter of the last video, Shaquem Simmons. And the first commenter of the last video, Heya Bellionis. Alright. Now, before we get into the Sarpa, I just wanted to thank you guys because we're at 2,000 subscribers now. We hit 2,000 subscribers yesterday. And so I'm super excited. I really appreciate all the continued support from you guys. And I want to do a 2,000 subscriber special tomorrow. I just don't exactly know what I want to do for it. I have a few like different ideas, but I don't know for sure. And I want to maybe involve you guys, and you guys can pick what you think might be best. So I was thinking maybe a Q&A, like a question and answer, where you can either ask questions on this video's comment section or on any video really, because I can look at recent comments and I could just find the questions there. And the questions that were asked, I can answer in tomorrow's video. The other idea was maybe doing like kind of a stupid meme weapon like the Stug. I could do another Stug video. Or maybe something else. I don't know. I'll have a few options in the comment section of this video, and you guys can tell me what you like best, or if you have a different thing that maybe you want to see, we could maybe do that as well. All right, so let's get into the Sarpa here. Look at this little guy. I really like the fashion frame on this thing. I think it looks really, really cool. So it's a gunblade that has a burst fire rifle inside of it. The burst fire rifle is going to fire 5 rounds. There are certain stance attacks that let it shoot 10 rounds, but most of the time it's going to fire 5 rounds. And sometimes when it does shoot 10 rounds, it's because that specific stance attack actually had the animation of it like firing twice in really quick succession. So it kind of shot 5 rounds each time, except it looked like, 10. But yeah, so that's the Sarpa there. Let's go into the build here. I'm going to have 2 different builds for you guys today. I have the main damage build, which is what we normally do, the max damage build. And then I also have a ZDPS utility build. So I'll explain this after the damage build, but this will be like a utility build for the Sarpa. All right, let's explain some interesting things about the Sarpa in general. So the Sarpa is going to have high slash damage. It has low critical chance and high status chance. Firing within 4 meters of a target will ragdoll those enemies. Now, that's what the wiki said, although I have a feeling that's just the heavy attack. I don't think I've ever noticed the regular attack ragdolling enemies. I guess we'll see in the actual gameplay. But I'm pretty sure that's just the heavy attack there. It has an innate 1 meter punch through on its shooting attacks. It receives a 25% bonus to physical damage types on shots. And it has damage fall off and a large spread. So kind of like a shotgun where the shots spread, but they kind of spread wildly. You don't really want to even be shooting this at medium range. You need to be very close to a target to hit them with most of your shots or all of your shots. And it is going to have that fall off like most shotguns do. But unlike shotguns or some pistols that have fall off, there's no great way to increase fall off on melee weapons. There's some weird Warframe augments, like I think Zephyr has one that increases melee fall off, but other than those like really weird circumstances, there's not really any way to increase melee fall off. All right. So you're going to notice some similarity. We did the Stropha video a few days ago, and the Stropha is a gunblade just like the Sarpa. And you're going to notice a lot of similarities, but you're also going to notice some differences between the builds. And it's because the Stropha was kind of the opposite of the Sarpa. The Stropha was very high crit, very low status. Sarpa is a little bit like the opposite. So on the Stropha, we could not use melee influence because the status chance was so garbage that it was not consistent proccing this. The Sarpa, on the other hand, super easy to proc melee influence, and it is extremely powerful on this. So because of that, we're going to be going with a melee influence, and melee influence requires us to use an electric mod to proc it, and that's why we're going to start with Voltaic Strike in the first mod slot. This will give us that electric status to proc melee influence. Then we're going to go with Sacrificial Steel. This is going to be giving us crit chance. Organ Shatter for crit damage. Gladiator Might for 60% crit damage and 240% crit chance at max combo. Condition Overload is going to be giving us plus 80% flat melee damage per unique status type affecting the target. Our little dog is going to be priming for us, so we're going to have a lot of statuses on enemies. Gladiator Vice is going to be giving us plus 30% attack speed and 240% crit chance at max combo. Again, this is the set bonus, though, mixed with Gladiator Might. So on our regular melee builds, we typically will use Berserker Fury, because Berserker Fury is 70% attack speed. 70% attack speed is, of course, better than 30%. But on Gunblades, because you're not really fighting the same way you do on a regular melee weapon, you don't need that much attack speed. Like 30% is kind of enough, and then you get that big bonus of crit chance on the bottom. So that's why on Gunblade, it's very easy to choose Gladiator Vice. Then we're going to be going for Blood Rush on crit chance, stacking with combo multiplier, and Weeping Wounds for status chance, stacking with combo multiplier. Again, on the Stropha, we did not use Weeping Wounds, and it was because the Stropha had really bad... well, it had bad status chance, and then the actual status that you would produce from the heavy attack was just impact, which is not very good. So that's why we didn't go with Weeping Wounds on the Stropha. But on the Sarpa, it's very easy to go with Weeping Wounds because we have a high slash value. We're trying to trigger the electric to give us melee influence. So like, there's a lot of positive things why we want status. For the stance, we're going to be going with High Noon. There are two stances. There's High Noon and Bullet Dance. On most melee weapons, I will say, hey guys, use whatever stance feels the best for you. Try them out, and whatever feels the best, just use. But on Gunblades, I feel like High Noon is objectively the best. On the Sarpa specifically, I feel like Bullet Dance is kind of close. There is like one moveset on Bullet Dance that kind of is close to High Noon. So if you didn't have High Noon on the Sarpa, I think Bullet Dance is pretty decent. I mean, obviously it would be your only option then. And then in the Tennokai slot, we're going to be using Disciple's Merit. This is going to give us a Tennokai attack on every 4 melee hits, which also includes the Gunblade shots. So our rotation with this weapon for attack is going to be light attack, heavy attack, light attack, heavy attack, light attack, heavy attack. We're light attacking with our shots, so we're shooting a bunch of shots. Those shots are going to be hitting enemies, and hopefully, most of the time, unless you're really bad at aiming, which I am sometimes, but most of the time you're going to be triggering your Tennokai, and that'll lead into a heavy attack. So that's why you do the light, heavy, light, heavy, light, heavy. So very smooth, buttery combo with the Sarpa. Okay, that's the max damage build for the Sarpa here. Let's go over the utility build now. Now, let me go back out and in, that way my stats on the left side are clear there. Okay, so the utility build, it's important to know this is a Z DPS build, a 0 DPS build. This is a utility build that's meant to partial strip. This build is going to be focused around a mod called Shattering Impact. If we read this here, impact damage reduces enemy armor by 6. So the Sarpa is a better contender to use this mod than the Stropha is. Even though the Stropha is actually the impact weapon, it's only firing 1 shot at a time. The Sarpa is firing 5 to 10 shots at a time. Now, the only negative thing is that the Sarpa doesn't have a high impact value. If we remember what I said, the Sarpa is very high on slash. So to get a decent impact value, we have to use pretty much every impact mod. So we're going to go with Shattering Impact for this effect, and then we're going to be starting with all the impact mods. So I have Primed Heavy Trauma. If you don't have the Prime version, just use regular Heavy Trauma. Collision Force for more impact, and Saxum Thorax for more impact and status chance. Alright, I'm going to go with Melee Prowess for more status chance. And Volcanic... I'm going to cough real quick, I'm sorry. And Volcanic Edge for heat and status chance. Heat's also a partial armor strip as well. Now, if we kind of back up here where Prime Fury is we're going to go with attack speed just to make this combo very quick, because for this build, you're not actually intending to use the Sarpa as your main damage source. You're probably using a primary weapon or a secondary weapon, or maybe you're using your Warframe. And the only reason you're switching to the Sarpa is because you want to partial strip something. Maybe there's a boss in front of your face. Maybe there's like a big Eximus or a Thrax or something that's in front of your face, and you just want to do a quick partial strip on them. So for that reason, you don't want to have it in your hand for a long time. You just want to be able to switch to it, bam, bam, go back to your primary. So attack speed helps a lot with that. So I have Prime Fury. If you don't have Prime Fury, just use regular Fury or Quickening. Quickening is even better because it's 40%. Regular Fury's 30%, if I'm not mistaken. And then in this empty mod slot here, you could pretty much use whatever you want. I have 2 options for you guys. The first option is Quickening, which would just be more attack speed. So you'd plop Quickening on top of Prime Fury for more attack speed, which would make that 1-2 punch even quicker. Or, what do I have written here? I have Life Strike written. Let me type in Life Strike. Life Strike would add another utility aspect on top of what you already have as a partial strip. So not only will you be partial stripping, but it'll give your Sarpa the potential to heal you a little bit. So this would add like a second utility effect on your Sarpa. Not everyone's going to need this, or maybe you have another way to get health, but if you don't, this is another decent option. And if you don't like either of those 2 options that I gave, you can pick whatever you want for this slot. This slot's basically free. You don't even need to have anything there if you don't really want to. In the Stand slot, we're still going to be going with High Noon. And in the Tennokai slot, we're still going to be going with Disciple's Merit. In the Arcane slot, we're going to be going with Melee Exposure. Melee Exposure is going to be giving you Corrosive. And Corrosive, again, just like Heat, just like the Impact with Shattering Impact, is going to be a partial armor strip. I did a lot of tests with all of these 3, with Impact, Heat, and Corrosive, because I thought, maybe it's too much, right? Maybe like Heat and Corrosive is stealing too many of the Impact procs, and I'll get more armor strip with just Impact. Or then I said, maybe I'll just take Heat off and I'll try Impact with just Exposure. Or maybe I won't use Exposure and I'll try Impact with Heat. And at the end of the day, there were some deviances, but like it felt like all 3 of them provided the best value. So keeping Impact, Heat, and Corrosive on was giving the best value. But you can kind of test around and mess around it, yourself and see. Maybe you don't like it with the Heat and you just want Impact and Exposure, and that's okay. So that is how you build the ZDPS Sarpa utility build. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to go into the simulacrum. I'm going to show off both stances, and then I'm also going to show off how this Sarpa utility build works.
The multitude of creatures you have immortalized would cry out in thanks.
Thanks, Cephalon Samaras. All right, let's go over the stance first. I'm going to start with High Noon as the one we're actually using on the build. So I'm going to go with the forward light, so moving forward and holding E. So the first and last attack are the shots. Now I'm going to do the neutral light, so this is not moving forward and holding E. All right, now I'm going to do the forward block, so blocking, moving forward, and holding E. And now I'll do the neutral block, so blocking, not moving forward, and holding E. All right, oh, that shot wasn't part of it. I accidentally went to another combo. Okay, so those are the 4 different attacks there. I'm also going to show what you should be actually doing, though, in gameplay. So remember that neutral combo. The neutral combo was just holding E. It was this one here. Well, the start of it was actually 2 shots in quick succession. It's those 10 shots. So I'm just going to click the button once, but you'll see how many shots shoot out. I believe it's 10 shots. Could be 5. It looks like 10. But you're going to be mixing that with the heavy attack. So you're going to be doing a light neutral, heavy. Light neutral, heavy. Light neutral, heavy. And what you'll be doing, because your Tennokai triggers on 4 hits, it's very easy to get those heavies for free. So you don't actually need to use your combo count. So you can just go light attack. So you have the Tennokai there, heavy. Light attack, heavy. Light attack, heavy. I'm going to cough. 1 second. Sorry about that. I might be coming down with something. So that's going to be your basic rotation to use this weapon. It's just going to be light, heavy, very easy, very buttery smooth. All right, let me kill these guys. I'm going to show off the other stance real quick. So we're not going to be using High Noon. We're going to be switching to Bullet Dance. And we'll do the forward light. Again, the first and last attack are the shooting attacks. We're going to be doing the neutral light. The neutral light is actually okay. This is the one that I said, like, I like High Noon better, but this one's not too bad. You wouldn't want to actually do the slash at the end. You would just want to do the first 4 attacks, or even less. If you can get your Tennokai up before that, you can even do less. But you would just want to do the first few attacks and let go of the button. So 1, 2, 3, 4, let go before it goes into the next slash, and then just repeat. Or do a heavy and then repeat. So that one's not too bad either. It's just a little bit slower than the neutral attack of High Noon. Okay, so that was the neutral light. Let's do the forward heavy, or forward block, sorry. Same thing as the other one. It's a little roll with a shot. And let's do the neutral block now. Just like a back shot over and over again. Alrighty. So let's go back to High Noon. I'm going to spawn some enemies in. Now remember, High Noon has melee exposure on it. Melee exposure just requires you to be pressing a ability once every 25 seconds. Doesn't matter what ability it is, just some kind of Warframe ability once every 25 seconds. Most Warframes are going to have this, like the ability to do this, but if you're playing a Warframe that doesn't, or maybe you go like super high duration where you don't have to press a button every 25 seconds, you might not want to use exposure at that point. You might want to use something else. But let's show it with exposure. So I just have Eclipse on just for the sake of showing this. So I'm just going to press 4 times just so I can fully stack it. And then you would only need to press it once every 25 seconds. So you're going to do a light and then a heavy. And you see that guy is more than half armor strip. He's actually kind of like 3/4 strip. Light, heavy. He's half stripped, kind of going into the 3/4 strip. Let's look at this guy. About half stripped on that guy there. So this is not going to be a full strip. This is not going to strip entire rooms. It's basically going to strip whatever's in front of you, and if there's like another dude behind him, the punch through will hit him. But this will be used basically for heavy targets. So maybe your build doesn't have any way to strip, but you still want to have the option. And so you throw on the Sarpa utility build, and now all of a sudden you have an option to half strip a heavy target if you need it. Alrighty, I think that's pretty much everything. Let's go back to the Orbiter. And we'll show the actual damage build off. So I'm going to switch my Sarpa to the damage build. Going to make sure my little hound is on for my primer. Make sure he has the correct weapon. And the build. Alright. So I think we can start here. So we're going to do a 10-minute Steel Path Mott just to show the Sarpa off. And we're going to compare it kind of to the Stropha. Since the Stropha is the only other Gunblade we've done so far. So that's why we're comparing it to the Stropha all the time. We'll do some other Gunblades. I think someone recommended the Redeemer. So the Redeemer's on my list somewhere as well.
The art of combat must be practiced to truly master the canvas of war.
All right. I will not be using any abilities during this run. I'm just going to be showing off the Sarpa.
They have just shut down all systems. I'm sending life support capsules.
Yeah, of course, we got to build combo up, so it's going to be a little bit weak to start. And then once we can get up to full combo, we should be slaying. And you're going to get quite a bit of damage from melee influence. And that's the big difference between this one and the Stropha. The Stropha, when you shot a group of enemies, they just instant died because it had really high crit. This one, not so much, but you're getting a lot of kills on this build without even knowing you're killing those enemies. Things are dying like behind you, to the sides, and it's because of melee influence. So the fact that this weapon does work with melee influence, where the Stropha, it was not proccing very well with the Stropha, so we couldn't really use it appropriately. That's what the difference is. See, I'm not even fighting these guys down here, and they're already basically dead. And again, that's just melee influence doing its thing. That's all you do. You do a neutral light into a heavy, and you basically repeat that. If you want, I mean, you can get flashy with it. You can start mixing in other combos. Start being like John Wick. But I just kind of just like doing the 1-2 punch combo. The light, heavy, and that's it. Just repeat it. Try to actually hit my targets instead of missing everything. You're going to be tempted to immediately heavy attack after lights, but make sure that you have your Tennokai up before you heavy attack, because otherwise you'll waste your entire combo. It's important that you get your heavy attacks for free from Tennokai, because a lot of your damage is from that combo count.
Tenno use the keys, but they are mere trespassers. Only I, Thor, know the true power of the blade.
I say that, and I'm sure I'm going to mess it up at some point. I do in every single melee video. Every single melee video, I will eventually heavy attack without my Tennokai up, and I'll have to redo it.
Now I will stop them. Now I am changed.
Me and another commenter, we were talking about Vor. Because I don't fully understand. I really should look this up one day and just not be lazy. I need to, like, it's probably just like on a wiki that I need to spend 5 minutes looking at. But sometimes melee weapons on Vor are very inconsistent. And I think his name is Sato or Satu. He's got a little like snail icon, like a little purple and yellow snail icon for his commenter or his YouTube icon. I forgot his actual name though. I think it's Satu or Seto. He was thinking that it could be like the hitboxes, like the melees have different hitboxes, and so that's why they're a little bit weird with Vor. And that could be true. He probably is right. Misery down. Misery took about like 3 of those combos. So 3 of the light heavy combos. Or light heavy combos, I should say. Now, like comparing that with the Stropha only needed like 1 heavy attack to completely kill an Acolyte. So like the actual upfront damage of the Stropha is much higher. But with this weapon, because melee influence actually works on it, you're getting a lot of kills that you don't even see. They're happening behind me. They're happening to the side of me. They're just electric procs going off all over the place. So you'll see at the end that the kill numbers are either similar or actually this one will beat out the Stropha, even though it appears much weaker.
When you need it, extraction is
We have
ready.
5 minutes. So you could also probably consider melee elementalist could possibly beat out regular Organ Shatter like later into Steel Path. So normal like starting into Steel Path, Organ Shatter will likely be stronger than melee elementalist, but later into Steel Path, you could probably assume that melee elementalist, because of the dots, may outperform Organ Shatter. So kind of like depending on the content you're doing. Are you doing an hour? If you're doing an hour, Organ Shatter will probably be better. If you're doing, 4 hours in, you might want to switch to melee elementalist over Organ Shatter. It's a fun weapon. I like it. I like the way it looks better than the Stropha as well. It's a very clean, sleek looking. That's a little bit personal preference, though. Maybe you like how the Stropha looks. A little bit thicker and boxier. Has more girth. This one is slender and narrow. Where are these enemies at? And if you had a ribbon, you would put it right over Organ Shatter. Regular Organ Shatter is going to be your weakest mod on the build. So that's where your ribbon would go. And it's just because this weapon is more status heavy than it is crit heavy. Now, crit still helps, right? Crit still helps all the damage and everything. So it's not like you don't want crit. So we'll see how this does compared to the Stropha. The Stropha at 10 minutes hit about 770. I don't remember the exact kill numbers, but I want to say it was like 770. Will these shots go through turbulences? Yeah, I guess it does. Or maybe he didn't have turbulence up yet. Mania uses Zephyr's turbulence, and normally you can't shoot through it. He either didn't have it up yet, or maybe these do shoot through Zephyr's turbulence, since this is technically not, you know, a ranged weapon. It's a melee weapon, although it kind of shoots. All right, so we're at 10 minutes. We're at 950. This beat the Stropha by a lot. Oh my goodness. Now again, if you compare it, like if you have the Stropha in your hand shooting enemies, it feels way stronger than this weapon. This weapon does not feel strong compared to the Stropha. But melee influence, because you have a higher status chance as a weapon, you could actually make use of melee influence. Because this is a higher slash weapon, so you're also getting slash procs. There's a lot of background killing that's happening to enemies that you're not even aiming at. So the dudes you're aiming at, yeah, they're taking less damage than if you were to shoot them with a big old Stropha hit. But while you're shooting that dude, there's 10 dudes around you that are getting killed. So Sarpa, very, very powerful.
Critical, like.
I want to say that again. What was that? 950. Oh my goodness. All right, that's how you build out the Sarpa for damage, and that's also how you build out the Sarpa for a utility build. Now, for the utility, of course, there's going to be like a million other weapons in the game that armor strip better than that. But I just wanted to give an option. You know, that's another way you could build out your Sarpa for a utility purpose. So, kind of cool. Also, I'm going to be trying to get a lot better at streaming. So, I've been super lazy this year with streaming. And yesterday I was like, I need to kick myself in the ass and get on here every day and stream. So I'm going to be streaming from 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. every single day. It might not be Warframe. It might be other games. Like today it might be Helldivers, I think I might do. But I'm going to be trying to do that every single day. I love co-op games. So if you have suggestions for co-op games, I love pretty much every co-op. So that should be everything, I think. Thanks for watching, guys. If you liked the video, consider giving it a like. If you haven't subbed yet, consider subbing or tell me what I can do to earn your sub. And you guys have an amazing day. All right, bye.